some interesting things happening out there. And we are getting a slew of questions from our builder partners and those around us connected to us on what are we doing? How are we handling this? What's going on with COVID-19? What's happening in the markets? And so we wanted to get on and address that with you today. So if you're on and live with us, this is an opportunity to ask questions. Yes, definitely. We want to do that. Now, before we get into anything, here's our disclaimer. First of all, we want to be calm and collected in what we say. And second, we're going to stay in our lane. The stuff that we know to be true and to be factual, we're going to definitely do that and give you some just some guidance along what's going on out there. So, Kevin, are you feeling okay? Are you doing all right?
I'm feeling great. Like Mike said, we're not going to say anything salacious. There's no feeding frenzy that's necessary. We even had an internal conversation for a good solid minute about whether we should even put COVID-19 in the headline, because we're not trying to capitalize in any way on this. We just want to make sure that the fake news is kept to a minimum, not in terms of what's going on in the economy or the virus and all that stuff, but what builders can and can't control. And what your options are. And that's the only thing I would say is I feel very calm about what most people are thinking about. What I'm growing less calm about and maybe almost upset about is some of the misinformation. And this ties back to what we talked about the Builders Show, where sometimes people, due to market conditions, feel like they've got an answer that is not going to be the right answer, especially not as things shift down. So we're going to get into what that means,
and listen, I'm going to be straight with everybody. When stuff happened on Monday, I got that as a trigger because I was in the market in 2008. So if you were in the market in 2008,
raise your hand.
Raise your hand. We were going through this in 2008. We want to see it in the chat.
PTSD is real.
It's real, but then you have to calm down and say this. We're not going to solve, 2020's problems with 2008's answer, and it's not even the same problem. So the first fact that's out there is this is not 2008. Supply is low. Demand is still there. We haven't seen what's the effects of what's going on yet, but builders are still selling. People are still looking. Things are happening. So it's not the same underlying fundamentals, the stuff that's going on. It's just not the same. So that's the first thing. The second,
there literally was no money available. Yeah. So, you want to get a loan, you're not getting a loan. Right. Whereas right now, 75% increase in refi, the massive interest in people refinancing their existing mortgage has lots of implications. But one of those that's good is banks want to give those people money.
Right.
And that's some of the lessons that I think hopefully we have all learned. By we, I mean the government, that, eventually it might be slower due to the political climate we're in about how things all work out. But the fact that the Great Depression happened 105 years ago, but the Great Recession happened much more recently. So those institutions have this short-term memory of what this needs to look like, hopefully, as we move into this.
So that's the first thing. And second thing is I truly believe that in response to this, our business model is set up a little bit differently to this. Hey, Carrie, good to see you on there. Our business model is set up differently because we are not, thank goodness it's not a cruise line. We're not the airlines. I mean, we're not South by Southwest, and that stuff is terrible. All that stuff is changing, but we are a business model where it's extremely personal. And people are,
and by we, you mean the industry, not DYC specific.
Yes, we're already set up to handle this and weather this a little bit differently, because it's not a basketball game, it's not a concert, or it's not retail. This is something different. That doesn't mean things aren't going to change, but we want to talk through all those things. And the other thing too, Kevin, is you've got some data on traffic, even as this has been going on in the past month. What are you seeing out there as far as builder analytics and?
Yeah. And this is, again, this part now we're going into opinions with some facts. So I have facts around this, but I'm not saying that if you're experiencing something different, that's not happening. Sure. However, back to 2008, 2009, the Great Recession, when the economy tanked and builders were hit hard because we were partially to blame for the whole thing happening, If you looked at your analytic chart, it was, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it just stayed there and slowly crawled back over years. And we use a tool, or we use Data Studio. We aggregate all of the 45 plus builders we work with, as well as another handful of builders who have given us access to their analytic data to use in aggregate. So we don't release anything specific to anyone. And it's showing that and here's why it's cool. We can put some faith in this tool. Is it shows exactly what you all experienced at the end of last year, where when you compare the data year over year, you can see this huge jump that occurs literally the day after Christmas. The day after Christmas, the market separated, and this year was significantly better than 2019 in that first part. And that's not uncommon knowledge, right, Mike? Everyone has heard that we're in a great market going into this. But what we're seeing is that as that trend line comes down and those two lines year over year data gets closer and closer, it's still significantly better. Even yesterday, as bad as the news got, it was still about 15% higher. This is people looking online at home builder website traffic, still about 15% higher than 2019 levels at the same time. So has it gotten a little bit slower? Yeah, it's come down a bit from the highs of January. January definitely seemed to be the peak of online traffic, but it is nowhere near 2019 levels, let alone 2018, 2017, et cetera, in terms of the data set that we have to look at. And so we'll certainly keep everyone updated as we look at that, but there are still people shopping, and that was not the case in the Great Recession when that first came about. The website traffic just dropped off a cliff.
Right. So comparing and contrasting, definitely want to do that. Now let's get into the stuff that we know. Kevin and I know. The Do You Convert team knows. Yes. Hello, Beth. Hello, Faith. We're going to go as long as Facebook Live will let us. It's a little fuzzy. I think it's because there's probably a lot of online traffic right now.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about a couple of things, Kevin, because I think that's what everybody's asking. In the world of online sales and online marketing, what do we do? Mm-hmm. What do we do? So we want to give you a couple of, a little bit of guidance. The first thing that I'll say, just our mantra, is don't panic, but definitely pay attention. Okay, so we don't need to panic, but let's pay attention and let's adapt. Online sales first. Let's talk about that, because we're getting a lot of this right now. First of all, I'm talking to people every day, and we coach people every day. They're setting appointments. I talked to someone on Monday. They set 7 appointments on Monday. The Dow went down 2,000 points. They set 7 appointments. So there's still some activity out there. But what we know about online sales is that position, this role, is uniquely prepared for what is happening. We're already set up to work virtually. That's everything we do. We've got the social distancing down, right? This is going to shine a spotlight on how we can sell without being face-to-face. So online salespeople, give me a high five, smash the like, say what's up, because builders are going to need you more than ever.
Exactly. I think you are it's not just Do You Convert, you internal folks who are doing this job now. Mm-hmm. Like when the company looks around and says, who can teach our on-site salespeople how to work with a camera and have a conversation with a customer, you're it, right? So you're an internal training resource as much. And so, but I think with that, Mike, and maybe now is not the right time to talk about the difference between online sales and an online selling position. That's great.
Yeah. And check it out from Tanner here too. Tanner goes 20 appointments since Monday. And again, we don't want to be overly optimistic or say this isn't going to be fine, but it's true, right? There's still a lot of activity out there.
Supply and demand is still out of whack.
Exactly. Exactly. We have a little bit to go. So online sales, listen, prepare to get really busy. Also prepare to have your talking points ready as it relates to everything going wrong, because customers are looking for a little bit of calm and the voice of reason. Mm-hmm. But the difference between online sales and online selling, online sales is managing leads. It's qualifying your prospects and moving people that are appropriately qualified to appointments. It is not doing the salesperson's job. So make no mistake, if we have to move to a world where we're selling more virtually, the salespeople still need to sell virtually. It's not the online sales job to take their role, because we can't possibly sell for 10, 15, 20 communities. But there's going to be a lot more people who are researching and talking to online sales first before they're going to make the commitment to go out and drive somewhere, right? Because kids, if they're out of school and stuff gets canceled. Yeah, exactly. Like what Martha was saying here. this is the reality of what's going on. They're going to want to talk to somebody. They're going to want to work through this. They're going to want to have conversations, and then they'll be ready to go out on site. But you're exactly right. You need to be working with your on-site sales team, and they have to get with the program. They didn't have to do this before. They might have to do this now. But again, we're uniquely set up our business model, both the online sales team and home builders in general, to handle this the best way possible, which it is scary, but we as a group in the US, we can handle this pretty well. Kevin, what about one of the first things in online marketing to be considering?
Well, first, I just want to add a little bit more meat to the bone of what you just talked about and give people specific examples. If someone is looking to make a move in a 5 to 10 mile radius from where they live, what Mike's talking about is they're going to get in their own vehicle. They're probably not going to take an Uber or a Lyft, right? They're going to get in their own vehicle. They're going to go drive to that one model home. There's going to be lots of sanitizer. Builders probably should have, supplies on hand as well. As Quint Lears pointed out in our Facebook group a couple of days ago, no reason to do the shaky right now. But at the same time, if someone was considering making a move to someplace 20 to 40 minutes away, and we talked to someone this week who had an infill location in an urban core, as well as suburban locations, and the urban core had a much lower traffic count. It would not be surprising to me if people said, I don't feel quite as comfortable making a 25 to 45 minute drive downtown where a bunch of people are in a more crowded environment. So the suburban locations are more set up, but there's certainly going to be an opportunity for this increase in virtual appointment behavior, and as simple potentially as just FaceTiming people.
Right.
We'll get into more of that later, but I think that's some of those specific examples might be helpful for people. Okay, so marketers, what you need to be aware of is that it is okay and probably warranted to start scaling back your ad spend. That sounds like I'm saying something that should cause fear. It's actually much more of a scientific reason. Google, and I don't know the exact numbers, so I'm going to spitfire this, but Google put on an alert last week that something close to 10% of their ad revenue came from the travel industry. Now, that's certainly outsized in terms of the number of transactions that occur. Why would travel be such a big hit for Google? It's because it's something that's going to happen right now, imminently. Right. If I'm searching for a flight, who knows, I may book it this very moment. Right. So their costs that they were charging travel for those ads was enormous. We're talking $5, $10, $15, $28 a click, because that's what they were willing to pay. So if that's just airlines, hotels, and cruise ships, as the general economy starts to pause, and I think a pause is an appropriate term. No one's talking about roaming looters and vandals and the end of modern society as we know it, right? It's some form of pause. Advertising rates should be dropping as a whole, and we're already started yesterday and this morning on some additional tests, but it would be okay, in my opinion, for you to lower your digital spend across the board, more or less, by 5 to 10% every 5 to 10 days. And just see what happens. If you can save the gunpowder, the cash for your company and for your department right now, that would be a good thing, because a whole bunch of you out there need to stop with the advertising already and ramp up the content. Because if you're sending people, think about the amount of emotional excitement that's necessary in yesterday's world to get a buyer to want to come out on site. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. You got to have the photos, the videos, the descriptions, all those things. But so if you're driving folks to your website and all you have is that rather blah looking rendering of a home that's move-in ready, my wife ain't coming to see you. Yeah. She probably isn't even excited enough to want to talk to you virtually. So slowly step the ad spend down. And if it becomes incredibly painful, this is what's great about adjusting advertising in the digital world. You put it right back. So take it down 5 to 10%, wait 5 to 10 days, watch what happens. If it's extremely painful, shoot it right back up. If you don't notice a big adjustment, continue to scale back every 5 to 10 days, another 5 to 10%. The point that I've talked about for 5 years is we're always looking for the appropriate tipping point. of where we're over-investing or under-investing. And that tipping point in an environment where things are changing as rapidly as they are is always going to be a moving target. Yeah. So keep searching for it.
Yeah.
Is the first thing I would say.
Hey, for those of you that are on, we see the comments and we love them. So let us know what you're doing, how you're preparing, what changes you're making. Because I think on this post is going to be good to hear from other people in the industry.
Yep.
On what they're doing and what's happening out there. Because I had a conversation this morning with someone who says, we're still feeling good and we're still seeing stuff, and that's in the Atlanta market. So love to see that. So keep talking and keep asking questions. If you got anything out there, let us know what you've got going on. Eva, I see that, you're going to see cancellations for sure. And what you want to do, and I've heard this too in California where this has hit a little bit harder, faster. I heard this on a call 2 days ago. People are canceling because of that or because of the COVID stuff. Here's what we got to do. Get ready for virtual appointments, everybody. Okay. They're canceling their in-person appointments. Yeah. Yes, potentially it is economic stuff, but ultimately, or fear or whatever. But a lot of times they're just like, do I go? You've got to have virtual appointments. We've got multiple emails, right, Kevin? Like, hey, how do we do this? So let's talk about what that means. We're talking about FaceTime. We're talking about Skype. People said, what tools should you use? It's either FaceTime or Skype. Those are two of the biggest tools that most people have or can get easily on their phone, whether it's iPhone, Android, whatever, where it's just video chatting. You can show things and switch the camera. That's probably the easiest thing to do. But also be thinking about tools to help schedule and set this, right? Yep. You've got tools like Calendly that can help people do this, that can show when you're booked and when you're not. You've got tools like BombBomb, video email, Vidyard Go, even just texting videos that allow you to put your face out there to remind people that you're real and you're there. So everybody needs to be thinking about how can we shift and adjust. And ultimately, you have the old-fashioned telephone where you could get on the phone and talk with someone too. So it's going to be a little bit of a shift, but you've got to start working on that.
And I think all those are the absolute right interim solution. When I say interim, right? I mean, Skype, you think that sounds, I don't know if this is a real word or not, janky, right? Sounds janky. Hey, can I Skype you? The consumer probably doesn't have Skype installed because that was like 10 years ago for a lot of people. So they're going to be like, what is that? You have to help them download. There's these interim solutions, but don't freak out. Like everyone knows what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. So when you tell the customer, hey, I've never done this before. If you're the on-site salesperson, right? It's okay to be like, I haven't done this before either. So, my lighting, don't freak out about your lighting. Don't freak out about in the short term, everyone's going to understand.
Right.
It does not have to be perfect. We need progress over perfection. Yeah. And I think a great script for that person who's canceling in essence is certainly understand what other information could I help provide for you that will allow you to continue going through the decision-making process.
That's right.
While you're in this pause.
That's right.
I think that's perfectly okay.
Well, and you see Heidi here too, talking about this, they're up in the Pacific Northwest. So they're experiencing something completely different than a lot of the country, which most of us are in parts of the country where we're taking preventative measures, not, handling stuff that's happened. I totally agree with you. It's everybody, we're all in this together. And so really understanding, is this a condition, objection, a brush off, just a freak out? How do you respond to that and say, we can
don't change their lasso rating to D or not interested, right?
Or
don't give up on anyone right now. There is no reason to.
Yeah. And don't put COVID-19 as a rating. We don't want that either. So you got to be ready for some of this stuff. I got to be careful, Kevin, joking.
Yeah, no jokes. We said no jokes.
No jokes. All right. So be prepared for those virtual appointments and leveraging those tools. Kevin, marketing, what else you got for online marketing and marketing?
So I already tipped into this a little bit, but this is when your investment in content's going to pay off, and you promote what you already have. A lot of people have dozens or hundreds of Matterport tours on their site.
Oh yeah.
And you've got them buried in some button, that no one ever hits. They can't see it. They can't find it. This is the time to, at this year's summit, we talked about the fact that, like it or not, most marketers treat their content like disposable paper plates instead of, this thing that has intrinsic value for a long period of time. So promoting the virtual tools that you do have, if you use Rendering House's app, if you've got some other tool like InVision that lets people actually build and select things that New Homes BDX offers. It's an expensive tool, but guess what? That expense doesn't look so bad in today's virtual
Right.
environment. So promote the tools you do have, the videos that you do have, the kitchen tools that let people change the cabinet color, exterior color, anything we can do to increase emotional excitement. But that content was an investment that hopefully you made yesterday and last year and the years before. And it's kind of like in a portfolio, diversifying with gold and non-cash. Like when one side goes down, the other side needs to do more work. And so go back to the builder, professional builder article that just was published last month if you need to, but content's number one. Right. And there's a reason for it.
I think that's great. Sarah's got a good comment here talking about training teams on Zoom meetings. Absolutely. Zoom GoToMeeting, as you start looking at both a face and a document and go through stuff together. That's a great one. Zoom, I know, just got my wife uses Zoom for her coaching, and she just got a note that said, your basic free resources are changing. So they're definitely seeing the pinch as more people convert to work from home situations or distributed working environments. But yeah, it's a very affordable tool. But you got to show people how to turn it on, how to use it, how to get used to it, and how to get used to seeing your face on camera. I still can't tell you the number of people that we do in training where they're making excuses not to get on camera. There's no more excuses. Like you've got to get in front of the customer. So that's a really good point.
And that's why I say those other tools are intermediate solutions. There's certainly better long-term solutions like Zoom, like GoToMeeting. There's better ways to go, but that's going to take more time and training because, almost everyone at this point has FaceTimed someone that they love or are related to, right? That's an experience that doesn't need coaching.
I see a comment here from Jesse. They haven't found much difference since the announcement so far. That's great. And again, we've seen that a lot with a lot of builders. It's going to start happening. And so that's why, the mantra, don't panic, but be prepared. And ultimately, my next point for online sales is as you're speaking with people, online sales is normally an emotional, in sales, we're emotional creatures. We get it. We're going to respond to people in certain ways, but my biggest piece of advice I would give you is just stay calm and stay in your own lane as you talk to customers. Focus on if they're in their search, this is a fantastic time to buy. Because of the interest rates being where they're at. If we're not going to try and convince you to do something you're not ready to do, but if you're making this decision, this is just as a good of time. We're not going to be able to change things. We're going to have to keep selling. And so you want to just communicate that sense of calm and communicate what is actually happening in your organization. I think being too optimistic could potentially be dangerous. I think being too much of Chicken Little is not good for the customer. We got to have that right middle ground of staying calm and staying in your lane as talking to customers. We're not experts, right? We don't need to talk through that, but
we're not financial experts. We don't know what's going to happen in the next week. So, and Mike did it, and I'm not trying, but as an industry, we're such in the habit of saying now is a great time to buy.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's good.
And so it's absolutely true. But if someone is expressing concern over their situation, the economy, whatever, if you say, well, now's a great time to buy, you got to be careful with that because you can't promise that it is the perfect. It's like trying to call the bottom of when the stock market's going to stop falling. It's not, but it's habit. So maintain that center, namaste is I think what some people say. Yeah. Right. Just find that calm. You're there to provide a service to them. You're not there to convince them, especially not now.
Yes. So yeah, just I think as you do that, make sure that you are communicating the right things. And again, I can't stress enough, talk with your leadership, talk with the people who are giving you guidance for your own organization, and come up with your talking points. Come up with your dialogues around this. Don't be caught off guard, and you're the front line. A lot of people are going to be talking to you. Don't be making stuff up as you go. Don't do what I did and say, it's a great time to buy.
Right. Well, let's talk about alternate versions of saying something similar that doesn't over communicate, right? Instead of saying it's a great time to buy, simply focus on the value that is currently at hand.
Yes.
So when you get specific, that's when it works really well. Because when you can talk about how interest rates impact a monthly payment, impact the total affordability situation, then you can talk about this is the tremendous value that is at hand right now. It's not That's not promising that it's not going to maybe be a slightly better value if you wait a little bit longer, or, it's just talking about this is a value. And let me explain to you why. Let me talk to you about the features, the benefits, the interest rates, et cetera.
Right. Well, and this is interesting. So going back to the mistake I made and the mistake we can all potentially make. And Ashley, I love the comment. You're exactly right. A lot of builders, February was huge.
Yep.
But that's almost like talking about the jobs reports right now, right? Mm-hmm. Which the jobs report comes from the past.
Weeks before, yeah.
And so we do have to be careful in conveying this and just saying, hey, here's the available inventory that we have now. Here's what we know about supply in our market. Here's what we know. And this could be your opportunity, and the interest rates are extremely low. So let's do what we can to keep the process going. I agree with you, Ashley. Let's keep that momentum going with our buyers. Whether or not they make a decision right now, we can still keep that process going. That's a really good point. I love what you put there.
And because of that momentum early in the year, I mean, a lot of the people we work with, you go to their quick move-in section of their site and there's like 2 homes. Or, there's just nothing there. And so back to this supply and demand idea, all these people who are refinancing, what do we know about most people who refinance? They're doing so because they don't expect to be moving soon.
Right.
And that means that an already low supply of existing housing is likely to not change much as all these people rush to refinance. So we haven't built enough homes in a long time. There's not enough inventory. Supply and demand is the name of the game.
One thing I'll tell you too, Madison's kind of commenting on what Ashley said too, which I think is great. It is going to slow down, and that's not totally, I got to be careful how I say this.
Yeah, no, you're right on.
It's not totally a bad thing to get caught up here for a second.
The part you can't control might be bad, but you can't control it.
Yeah, but we need to stay focused and stay focusing on the things that we can make a difference on, right? The stuff that we can impact. So we cannot control the market. The market is what the market is. We've talked about that for a long time. So, Kevin, I have a question for you specifically. What about builders that are maybe investing or over investing in pieces of technology or things that are going on? It's like, what's happening here? What are your thoughts on just where they're putting their money right now?
Yeah, well, everything has to be scrutinized. And if you have, before I get to the specifics that I'm pretty sure you're talking about, every builder marketer should have a list of nice to have, right? There's the must haves, the things that you can directly control or with a partner can directly control, like your Google ad spend, Facebook, Instagram spending, Google display, anything where you can directly touch the account and can go up and down on a dime. That's the stuff that is most important and should be on your have to have list. And even when the market goes down, you're not going to cut that completely. You're going to shave it back, but you're not going to stop. Then there's a whole bunch of other things that would be listed on the nice to have list.
Right.
Things that you can't get as clear of an attribution connection to. You think they are helpful, but you just don't know how much. Anyone listening who's been through, who went through 2007 to 2009 knows those are things that at times you just simply stop doing. So that's one thing is making sure you understand what your nice to have list is and an order of priority that you choose in advance. So, I mean, irrationality is huge. I'm going to quick segue. The article that I posted yesterday about why does everyone buy toilet paper? It's not because they think they're going to run out of toilet paper. It's literally that they are not thinking. They're just in a panic. They want to buy the largest amount of thing, like this big thing that I can grab that's only $3.75 and it has 12 rolls in it. It just makes people feel safe. And so they're grabbing onto it as a totally irrational reflex instead of thinking like, I'm probably more likely to run out of cereal and milk first, but they don't load up with 5 gallons of milk in the same rate, right? So people are irrational. So you need to understand what your nice to have list is and your must have list in advance so that you don't respond completely irrationally.
Right.
Now, specifically around technology and pieces of the agreement, we started hearing a couple weeks and months ago about people who were spending, and this is just one instance, there's other things like it, but this is probably the easiest one to talk through is if you're spending thousands of dollars for an automated chat solution, it was already for sure extremely questionable. That's the nicest way I can say it. Extremely questionable that was worth what you were paying for it. If your web traffic, you believe, and lead count is about to drop, do you need an automated solution to handle all of these people? So the value of it only gets worse. So this is what I was talking about at the very beginning when we went live, about people who are saying, this is the way to go. This looks expensive, but man, look at all we're getting from it. Are you really getting that from it? Do you really understand how it works? Do you understand the true value you're getting? Or were you trying to play catch up with a neighbor and trying to be part of the cool kid progressive club? Because I got to tell you, automation is not what you're likely to be worried about over the next 2 months. And it is about human one-to-one connection. That's what's going to provide value to your customer.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, just because, again, it's inflated stuff that isn't creating more leads or creating more appointments necessarily. It may be novelty a little bit, but yeah, you ask a bot what are the protocols for your COVID-19, and it says, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
If you ask it what school district is, if you ask any question that's not pricing, bedroom count, bathroom count, or simple geography questions, the response is, I don't know. Do you want to talk to a person? And so again, it's not that we are anti-chat. We did a whole podcast on chat where Mike and Jen went through step by step. And I use the analogy, which I will use forever now, that our answer to chat is the same as to my 13-year-old daughter who says, can I date a boy? It's like, if these things are all like these rules are applied, you're going to have a chaperone, whatever, then yes, there's no hard and fast. You may never date anybody.
Yeah. There's
the same checklist that goes along with chat, but there's chat solutions that are fantastic that are fantastic for $200 a month.
Yeah.
And so this is when I start to get a little frustrated about how
it's okay, Kevin, calm down. You're okay. Take a breath.
Well, it's okay. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say. It's okay if you're Pulte, Lennar, and if you're one of these big guys and you want to do that, I don't care. They've got the cash. If you're doing that and you are a one market builder doing 100 to 300 homes a year, that's what drives me nuts. What drives me nuts.
Guys, don't drive Kevin nuts. Make smart decisions. The bottom line is make smart decisions with your money.
And ask for advice and opinions from people who are not just saying, I promise you this works. It's amazing. Do it. Ask for the nitty gritty details.
Right. Hey, if you guys have questions or comments, we want to see them in the chat. So ask them now. We're always happy to answer. This summer we see you. Yeah, Seattle's a hotbed. Summer, we're glad you're there, being positive to all those people.
Actually, didn't her whole company go to Aruba or something? Aren't they all? I think they're all at a pool somewhere, except for her.
Hey, exactly. So let's talk about kind of one of the final things from online sales. We're going to make a poster that we can hang next to your computer screen. Here's a poster. Everybody get ready to write this down. Get ready to print it off. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. And do your follow-up. Right? Do not stop. Do not stop what you're doing. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Make those phone calls. You've got to connect with your buyer. It doesn't feel great. You don't know what you're going to run into all the time. It's not the same as it used to be. It's not like it was a month ago. But in the role of sales and online sales, you've got to keep moving forward. Nothing happens until a sale happens, and we're going to have to search a little bit harder. We're going to have to work a little bit harder. We're going to have to work a little bit later. We're going to have to. Everybody is. Do your convert's going to have to do that. Everybody, every company that's watching this is going to have to do that. But the companies who are set up for this, just like in 2008, will make it through, and will make it through okay. But you cannot stop. The best thing that you can do is invest in yourself and your time that you're putting in, and do the best job you possibly can.
Yep.
And so we just want to make sure we're focusing on those things, and you're maintaining that positive attitude. So wash your hands, don't touch your face, and do your follow-up.
And I feel like you and Jen have done a great job helping this position progress from this manic, as soon as the phone rings at any time, I must race across the room, jump for it, grab it, and make it all happen, to saying, hey, you've got to find some balance in your life. And obviously we still think that is true. However, in a time like this, should you be more or less likely to pick up the phone if it rings at 8:30 at night?
like it's anybody who's calling, you jump on that phone, and that's where we get to shift. This will be temporary, right? This too shall pass. This will be temporary. We don't know what it is. We're not going to try and claim that we do, but if it's like anything that's ever happened before, it's going to be temporary. So that means the work may be harder, but it'll be temporary as well. So yeah, focus in, double down, and do your work. And I know that it seems like specific advice, but I have to check myself too and not get caught up in the things that you can't control, because that's just a negative path that we can all get down really quickly. And the online sales role is to be positive and be in a good emotional state with as many people as possible. Because if you're not happy, if you're scared, then so are your customers. So make sure that you're focusing on those things that you can share with them, and you're focusing on the positive that goes along with it.
I love it, Martha.
No, watch out. She's coming at you.
One of my last tips, and I think we're going to talk briefly a little bit about work from home and some of the stuff we use to make that work, since we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Is, hey, marketers, spend some extra time focusing on how you can help conversion. Now is not necessarily the time to over obsess about new lead count.
Yeah.
Remember, you just had record-setting lead counts for the first part of March, February, and January. And even if you had record conversion, there's still a whole bunch of other people out there.
That's right.
Who had a life event that started before the panic started here. And that life event may or may not be changing. That goes back to what I was saying. Just don't change the rating to not interested. Anyone who says they're not interested really should be, I'm going to check back with you in a month and make sure you're still not interested, or in 2 months, or whatever that case. So what kind of things can a marketer do to help conversion? You can talk to your salespeople and help them create content around common objections. Talked about this idea of an objection library of emails, of blog posts, et cetera, that marketing can help create, that helps salespeople communicate in a way that helps them overcome common objections that they are seeing. So get in close support with them on that.
Yeah.
You can also help them with any type of email communication and nurturing, right? You do not want probably every salesperson out there randomly creating their own message about your company's COVID-19
policies, right? Yeah,
policies,
exactly.
Or for goodness sakes, imagine, like, this is the closest thing to panic. I would probably lock down your mass email capability from salespeople if that's not your company's typical policy. One-on-one emails are fine.
Yeah.
But just imagine one of your salespeople deciding to create a COVID-19 sale promotion for the next week, cool. All inventory, right? Just be careful about that. So help your sales team overcome objections, help them build libraries of content, and focus on conversion, more remarketing potentially. But it's all about helping them convert those people and knowing how to communicate clearly to them. It's not just about new lead count. And again, I just have to go back to record-setting web traffic from now until yesterday still. So again, other people have been saying other things, and I'm not discounting that, but the folks that we work with on an intimate basis, and I'm not saying it's because of us, they are not seeing a dramatic drop in web traffic. And even until this week, I was still hearing many, many stories about people who had a 20, 30, or 40% increase in walk-in traffic year over year. So walk-in traffic still generally strong until this past week. Virtual traffic remains high. So yeah, it's not time to freak out yet. Just time to, like you said, pay attention.
Hey, we're going to wrap up this Facebook Live, but please leave your comments of encouragement and to the industry, and even gratefulness for this industry and what it is. We always want to see that. Here's what I'm going to tell you as we sign off. If you were in this world, this awesome industry that we are in 2008, people are going to look to you to say, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" Mm-hmm. You've been there, you've done that. There's a lot of people that we work with that they got started in 2011 and 2012 and only seen something completely different. So the history lesson, which we often give to everybody, is it might suck. There's some things that might suck, but it's not the same, and it's not because of us. And here's what we did to get through this. the other thing that I know too, what's different is most builders are still extremely, extremely lean. Like we have not overinflated things.
Yeah.
We have not hired triple the staff.
A marketing department with more than one person is still a rarity.
Yeah. So leave your, guide your team. For those who've been through it before, Kevin's been through it before. I've been through it before. It's not fun, but you will make it through. So make sure you're encouraging and supporting those around you, because while they may not be panicking on the surface, it's like the little duck under the water, they might be going, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's going on? So make sure that we're having those great conversations and lead with confidence for those of you in leadership roles. Kevin, what are your final thoughts as we close it out for today?
Just that there will be more to come. I mean, we are, again, just like online traffic is not slowing down, we're not slowing down, but we're going to do our best in the extra time we have in the next couple of days to continue to create helpful, in-depth content to get us all through this together. But certainly, like Mike said, whether it's in this post, in the Facebook group, wherever, sharing ideas that you're doing is what it's all about.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Good to see all of you. Thanks for the comments and the chatter. If you need, stay tuned and go to doyouconvert.com. You're going to get all the latest and greatest. Sign up for our email newsletter. You'll be getting stuff from there as well. And let us know if we can help you in any way. Thanks to everybody. Thanks, Kevin.
You bet. See ya.